What is up, you guys? I know as soon as we hit go, we are rolling here, so don't want to look like your guy's grandma on the mic once again. This time it's looking much better. You can see the chat over here, so I can see what you guys are talking about. Let's see there. Excuse me, guys. I know, man. I got the grandma syndrome going on still with these lives. Hold on, guys. How's everyone's morning going? What's up, 626 D for Dank? And we are getting ready for UFC Louisville, which is it's a fun card, man. We got a top 10 middleweight showdown, a fight that a lot of people are torn on. I've seen a lot of people both sides of the fence here for the Imavov Cannonier fight. I'm curious if I know we're filling up the room as we speak, but very curious what your guys' thoughts are on the main event here. Let's see here. We'll let the room fill up here for a second, but it's gonna be a great fight. And you guys, if you saw my full prediction video, I am leaning towards Imavov winning a decision. I think that he'll be a little bit ahead of Cannonier in the striking department. I know a lot of people are pointing towards Cannonier maybe having that advantage with his conditioning, and later in this fight he may be able to bully Imavov. And I could potentially see that as well. I'm not in disagreement. Imavov has some questionable cardio. Cannonier is a proven fighter. Even though he's 40 years old, this dude has proven that he can go to war, and he comes in great shape. Remember, this guy used to fight at the heavyweight division, then came down to the light heavyweight division, and then has filled in perfectly into the middleweight division. He's never been finished as a middleweight. Just finished a couple times. Finished by Sean Jordan when he fought up a heavyweight. Finished in the light heavyweight division when he faced off against Dominic Reyes, a fighter we'll be talking about a little bit more here as we preview this card. That's a big fight, Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby. And glad to see you guys coming in the room here. Let's get this money in the clutch. And what we got over here? Vega Garcia. What's up, Vega Garcia? Appreciate the love and support there. So if anybody wants to start typing up in the comment section any fights you guys want to preview, any betting lines that you guys want to go over for this card, I mean, I'm all ears. I would love to hear what you guys want to hear about. Robert Saladino, fight not going the distance. Pracis and Raki, Baeza, Seriano, Fajera and Stoltzfus, and Marquez and Reese. I'm kind of in agreement with you across the board on those fights. I can easily see finishes in all of those fights. And in fact, I kind of favor seeing finishes in all of those fights. I mean, I'll kick things off first and foremost with the Baeza fight. Baeza coming into this fight having major question marks in regards to his chin. He's coming off two brutal knockout losses, and even the fight before that, he was damaged against Santiago Ponzinibbio. I do like the fact that he had a nice little layoff to let his brain kind of heal up a little bit. Maybe the chin holds up a little bit more so, but when you got a guy like Seriano throwing heat at you, we can easily see Baeza knocked out in this fight. And then even if Soriano doesn't find his own knockout, Soriano's a fighter who's just finished in his last two fights, submitted by Dustin Stoltzfus and then knocked out by Roman Kopylov. And he's a fighter that has struggled with his conditioning and his cardio, and maybe Baeza takes this fight over late and gets his own finish there. Baeza's a dangerous fighter offensively. And there's question marks in regards to the weight cut that Seriano had coming down to the welterweight division that may benefit him with his cardio. Maybe he's in better shape, but it also may put a little bit of a dent into his durability. I don't know. He's a dense dude, big old Hawaiian dude. He's a thick dude. We'll see how he looks in this new weight class, but I'm in agreement there. I think that we could easily see a finish in that fight. The Pracis versus Radke fight, that's a fight that we can easily see a knockout either way. I think that we could see a knockout either way in that fight. Wouldn't be surprised if either man gets the finish. And that's a real fun fight, the Radke versus Pracis fight. I can't wait to see that one. That's probably my most anticipated fight of the card, if not the Jacoby versus Reyes fight. And then besides that, what are some of the other fights? The Fajera is either going to get that first round knockout, or Dustin Stoltzfus is going to find a sub later in the fight as well. So I agree with you. And then Reese versus Marquez, both those fighters coming off knockout losses. That's a fight where you could really see those guys clashing, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a finish in that fight. So good call there. And besides that, what about the youngster Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Ricky Turcios? This is a fun fight. I like the dog value on Ricky Turcios here. That may age, as Jamal Hill says, it may age like milk takes. Because Raul Rosas Jr. is a dangerous fighter. He's a fight finisher, and Ricky Turcios has struggled with his takedown defense at times. But he's also a fighter that's never been submitted. If he's able to avoid being submitted and kind of withstands the early onslaught by Raul Rosas Jr. in the fight, I see Turcios kind of taking over this fight with his striking, just making this I guess if you want to call it a brawl, a fight that has a high pace to it. I don't want to say a sloppy fight, but you know what I'm saying? Kind of like a war. They're going to war, and it doesn't even have to be like a crazy war, but just a good pace to the fight. And I just see Turcios being a little bit more polished with his striking and outpointing Raul Rosas Jr. there. So Turcios kind of an overlooked fighter. He's a veteran of the game, 31 years old, going into the prime of his career physically, 15 pro fights under his belt. Well, Raul Rosas Jr. just 9 pro fights, 19 years old. He's going to have some learning, growing pains, some learning pains in the cage. I know he got into the sport of MMA from a very early age, so his 19 is not really a typical 19. He has a great understanding of the sport. He's been training since he was a very young kid, but I still like some of those things going towards Turcios. So when you're getting 2-1 odds on him, I do like that. So what else we got over here? Eric the Red headed to Louisville right now. Shout out to my boy Eric the Red, who's going to be at the event live. Eric, send me some video from the arena. Maybe I'll throw that up on the story or whatnot. And what else we got? Is Rosas for real? We just talked about that a little bit. I don't know if you wrote that before or after, but I mean, I do think that Rosas is for real. I think that he is a legitimate UFC fighter and will establish himself as a legitimate UFC fighter one way or another. The fact that he's doing what he's doing right now at the age of 19, even though it's been against lower level competition, like I've been on record saying Terrence Mitchell is a fighter that should have never been fighting in the UFC. That was a setup fight, and he did what he should have, went out there and did. Raul Rosas Jr. went out there and knocked him out. The Jay Perrin submission, no shade thrown at Jay Perrin, but Jay Perrin's, I don't think he's a UFC caliber fighter, but Raul Rosas Jr. went out there and did what he should have did there. He submitted him in the first round. But the Christian Rodriguez fight, I think, kind of showcased the holes that Raul Rosas Jr. has in his game. His striking it's not the best. And when he's in a grueling type of fight, I just don't think that his striking is crisp enough against. It won't be crisp enough against higher level competition. But then again, at the same time, Christian Rodriguez is a very high level fighter, so maybe we're over analyzing that fight. But I just don't like the way Raul Rosas looks with his striking. He kind of he's flinging his shots, he's pushing his shots. Doesn't really have a lot of crisp pop to them later in fights. He's not the most technical. And Turcios is a fighter that has kind of that light-footed karate style. He's light on his feet, and he'll pepper you up with volume. And I think he'll be more technical there. So I'm interested to see how that fight's going to look. And Turcios will also have a little bit of a reach advantage, have about a 4-inch reach advantage. He's a little bit more lengthy, but has to stuff takedowns. Has to stuff takedowns there. So what else we got going on over here? I should have took Raki by sub. Says Funky Meshka. And guys, check this out. You guys know I'm refining a lot of things with these live videos. I want to be able to pull your comments up, but I'm going to make it look dope. I'll have it pull up right in this box here, like you're inserted into the template, whatever you want to call it. And I want to start posting your guys' comments, but that came from Funky. I mean, listen, Raki by sub. I seen some of those lines. There may be some juice there. Prachis is a fighter that's been subbed early on in his career against lower level talent, very questionable talent, but he's really seemed to hit his stride. But Raki's a fighter that's been involved in grappling tournaments or grappling competitions, and people have been saying that his grappling's kind of under the radar. Maybe he can get this fight down to the mat and do something there. I'm sure you can get some crazy lines on something like that, so we'll see how that ages for you, if you should have locked it in or not. And let's pull up Chuck Buffalo. Hold on here. Chuck Buffalo MMA, man. This guy is a character. Let's go through his through his IG, man, and I hope this is running smooth. Like I said, I'm working on a lot of things. If you guys have ever noticed in some of my videos that the IG was looking a little choppy in the background, that's something that should be fixed now. Unfortunately, when I was using my 4K capture card that makes me a little bit more in high def, it kind of slows that down. Hopefully, I'm still looking pretty crisp to you guys. I know it's not looking as good, but at the same time, the videos that I'll be playing in the background over here will look better for you guys. So I got to kind of pick my poison there. And maybe if anyone's really good with computers and whatnot, if you want to reach out to me, I'm trying to figure out how to get me with the 4K capture card with things still running smoothly. Maybe my laptop needs to be upgraded or whatnot. But Lee looked checked out at weigh-ins. Have a feeling she just doesn't have it anymore. Have a feeling that Montana is gonna get this done and mess up a lot of people's bets today, says Josh, fan guy. Andrea Lee, man, I mean, it's a rematch. She already has a W over Montana De La Rosa, which sometimes you guys know it's not always easy to get multiple wins over a fighter. You would think that the fighter that took that loss is a little bit more motivated, a little bit more hungry to get redemption. You mix that with the fact that Montana De La Rosa is now entering her physical prime, or entering the prime of her career, right? I mean, she's still a fighter that hasn't even hit 30 yet, right? Let's pull this up real quick. Right now, Montana De La Rosa is 29 years old, while Andrea Lee has hit the mid-30 mark, 35. And you guys know that's where you typically start to see a little bit of decrease in skills. You see, I don't know, is that blonde or is that grays coming in there? There might be some grays coming in for Andrea Lee. I'm just poking some fun. I think that Andrea Lee is going to get the better of Montana De La Rosa. If you guys remember the first fight, Montana De La Rosa pressing very much so with her grappling, trying to get takedowns and whatnot. And Andrea Lee had a lot of success stuffing them or even just making her pay as she was coming in. And Andrea Lee was the fighter that was inflicting damage throughout that fight. So I just kind of see a similar type of fight. And then you mix that with, since the last time that fight took place, the judging criteria is much more favored towards Andrea Lee's style, which is the fighter throwing nice jabs down the middle, looking to inflict damage. Montana De La Rosa always opens up. She's always bloody. And I don't know. I think that Andrea Lee's going to win a decision there. I think that she still has a little bit more to offer the game. 35 right now. She just had a victory about a year ago, not even a year ago, a little less than a year ago, against Macy Barber. And make no mistake, she defeated Macy Barber, used her grappling in that fight, and she was the fighter that should have won. And that's a big victory. Macy Barber's been on an absolute tear. Montana De La Rosa, just a fighter that she's a little lethargic in there. You guys know she has been diagnosed with slight giraffe syndrome, a little lethargic with her movement. And it's hard to back her, man. It's hard to back her. I know she's been losing to high-level competition, but it's hard for me to back Montana De La Rosa, man. She just kind of always underperforms, in my opinion. And I think Andrea Lee has a little bit left to give the game. And I like Andrea Lee there. Just to kind of answer Josh Van Guy's thing, but good luck to you if you're targeting that or whatnot. Better breakdowns than most channels, guys. Let's effing go. North Star Nugs, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, expect a lot of new content coming your guys' way. Expect a lot more lives, and trying to spice this channel up, man. I'm trying to make a real run and take this channel to the next level, so you guys can expect a lot more. And working on some big things behind the scenes, so you guys are going to start to see a lot of that. What's up, Bruno? Hollis Hill, I took your advice, put the house on Andrea Lee. Ooh, that's a little risky to put the house, man. I hope at least you have a friend's couch you could sleep on, if anything, in case things don't go well. Hopefully you got a good friend that has a couch open. If not, at least I hope your car is a little roomy. Maybe you got one of those 3-row SUV type of vehicles, and then in that case, maybe you do it. But otherwise, be a little wary putting the house up, man, because it's rough out there in the streets. And then let's see here. What else we got? De La Rosa is not ready. She is chinny. She was thrown in there too soon, I believe. Maybe if I click that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure out some stuff here with the channel. I was hoping I could post your comments over here, but I'll have to work on that behind the scenes. And you know what? Another very underrated fight on this card that I'm very excited for is the Thiago Moises versus Ludwig Klein. Both of these fighters can easily have ranks next to their names in the near future. Of course, the victor of this fight is going to be the fighter that's closer to getting that done, and may even may even be ranked. I don't know about that. They're kind of fringe ranked fighters in the division, but Thiago Moises, a constant professional, a dude that already has 25 pro fights at just the age of 29. Been training over at American Top Team for a long time. Very high caliber grappling, but has shown flashes with the striking. Stopped Mitch Ramirez in his last fight with the leg kicks. He's been finished himself, but look at the level of competition. Benoit Saint Denis, Islam Makhachev, and then the Joel Alvarez one. That one maybe not the best one, but Alvarez is a good fighter. Took a loss against Damir Ismagulov and Beneil Dariush. Decision losses against high caliber fighters, Robert Watley back in the day. But I do like Moises, and I think that Moises has a clear route to victory here, which would be going through his grappling. Ludovic Klein has struggled with his grappling not too long ago. I know people were quick to turn the page on some of those performances, but submitted by Nate Landwehr back in 2021 and dominated with the grappling by Mike Trizano. That was not a good look for him, taken down by Mike Trizano quite often in that fight. Obviously, he went back to the drawing board, has been working on that, but look who he's been matched up against since the issues he's had with the grappling. There's not one high caliber grappler here. Okay, Devontae Smith, the striker, Mason Jones, a well-rounded fighter, but not even really on the level. Jai Herbert, a striker. Ignacio Bahamondes, a striker. AJ Cunningham, not a UFC caliber fighter at this point in time. No shade thrown his way, but he has to continue to work on things. He's not a UFC caliber fighter. So now he's got Thiago Moises, a high caliber grappler. If Moises is closing the distance and getting it on him and jumping on his back, he could fall into some trouble. And then on the other side of things, play devil's advocate here, of course, and Ludovic Klein can potentially knock Thiago Moises out. Ludovic Klein shows to have big-time power, and we've seen Moises folded up a couple times here, so I wouldn't be shocked if that happens as well. But I like the dog value right now over on BetUS. Thiago Moises he's a dog. It's at even odds at plus 100. We've seen him right around plus 105 at times. You guys don't forget, we are powered by BetUS. Sign up through the link here in the description of this video, posted after the video, but make sure you guys sign up to that. Sign up through that link. If you do choose to sign up, you're going to get a 125% match on your first 3 deposits. And if you sign up through that link, I'll appreciate it very much so, and I will give you guys a gift. So make sure you let me know, reach out to me there. But I do think there's some dog value on Moises here. I think he's a pro, and I love getting Moises at dog odds against many in the division. And no shade thrown against Ludovic Klein, but I think his ceiling is very high. Dude's a freak athlete, big time power, but I don't know. Well, we're going to test him. We're going to see if he cleaned up his grappling all the way at this point. So let's see what else we got here. I'm going to run through some of your guys' comments, man. Just don't put my house on the teller, my boy. Nora Shy. I appreciate you putting your house in the teller, man. Appreciate you. Teller, you got this. Appreciate you, man. Connor playing mind games with Chandler, making max bet on Connor. Making max bet on Connor, man. Shout out to Robert Saladino. Hopefully I'm saying your last name right there. You guys want to go preview that McGregor card? I don't want to get too carried away, but I'm excited for that one. And I do think that McGregor's going to make the walk, all right? I do think McGregor's going to make the walk. I do think he's playing mind games. He's in the gym. He's preparing to fight. You guys heard Ariel Helwani reporting that all signs are pointing towards things continuing to move towards the direction of that fight taking place on the date. And I think we see McGregor make the walk. And it's just, I don't know why he does that, man. Listen, I went over to Vegas to watch him fight Khabib, and I remember he messed that press conference up. I was devastated at the time. I was really upset with him. Something that he's done later in his career. He tries to do like that. I think he learned it from Nate Diaz. Remember who did it to him first? Nate Diaz walked out of a press conference. Nate Diaz just did that again recently. But I think McGregor kind of got that from him, and he's kind of keen to doing that. And at the end of the day, though, he usually does make that walk, right? So I think McGregor will show up, and it'll be a good one. So should be a great fight. I got Klein, but can go either way. And Luca, I'm struggling right now, says Luca. What are you struggling with, buddy? You doing all right? I hope all is well with you. I don't know what you're struggling with, but if you want to elaborate. Thoughts on Eduarda Mora versus Denise Gomes. I like that fight a lot. Somebody asked me earlier on my Instagram live what fight I thought was the most likely to end inside the distance as far as the women's fights go. There's about three women's fights taking place in the card, and this was the fight that I brought up. I think that we could see a finish in this fight for sure. Eduarda Moura finishing 9 of her 10 victories. She's well-rounded too. She could sub you or she could hurt you on the feet. She has good power, good striking. Denise Gomes is a power puncher to say the least. When you're talking women's strawweight, when you're talking the women's strawweight division, okay? 6 knockouts out of her 8 victories. Not a lot of fighters have a 75% KO percentage in this division, and we've seen her go in there and showcase that. You guys remember she knocked out Yasmin Yargi very early on. Yasmin's a talented striker. I'm very high on her. She knocked out Bruno Brazil, hurt her from the moment that fight started. She was hurting her, putting it on her with her striking, and has her fair share amount of knockouts in the regional scene over there in Brazil. I think we could see either fighter get a finish here, but I like Eduarda Moura. I think the ceiling is way higher on her. I think she's a legitimate threat to this division. I think she's the real deal. I think that Moura is going to continue to look good in there, and I think that she makes a run at getting a rank next to her name. She's 30 years old, so physically she's very mature. Denise Gomes, 24. She has a lot more time to figure things out, even though they have essentially the same amount of pro experience, but still, Moura is a fighter that she's more physically in her prime. She surrounds herself with good people. She's training with Gelton Almeida's team, and those guys over there, and they're having some success. It's a smaller name gym out of Brazil, but I like Moura to use her reach advantage, use her size advantage, and to just be more well-rounded. And I like Moura to win the fight there. Let's take a look at the betting line. A lot of action has came in on Moura. You could have grabbed Moura at one point in time at even under a minus 160, I believe, right? I think at minus 155, but she was available at minus 160, okay, just last week. Now she is a minus 200 over on BetUS, okay? So you might be a little bit late to the party. You got to be careful. Gomez is a tough fighter, and it's a women's strawweight fight. It may play out closely. We need to see more from Moura. Hasn't really been tested so much, but as far as I'm concerned, she passes the eye test, and I think she's legit, and I'd rather be on the Moura side. No matter how you spin that, I'm backing her. Just be careful with those high lines there. Let's see what else we got here. Go exercise, Luca. I'm struggling right now. Go exercise, says Robert. Yes, go exercise, man. You'll feel better. I say that joking around. I don't know if you're serious or not, but that is a very true statement. Make sure if you're not feeling good, go hit up a nice little run and you will be feeling better. That's a fact. Go exercise. You're going to feel much better. Get out and move around. You guys know we're always talking about stuff like that. I got the Gomez fight and the Puja fight not to go the distance, parlayed with Daniel Marcos for a prelim bet. I'm sure there's some nice juicy odds on that there, to say the least. I'm sure that's a nice little juicy parlay. So, oh man, if you guys want to talk about anything else, you guys let me know in the comment section. I've been on the mic all morning, man. We've been bouncing around doing some features on some other channels and whatnot, and that's part of what I'm working on over here. Like I said, trying to take the brand and everything to a new level. So you're going to see me featuring a lot of other people's stuff and trying to grow the following over here, but also fine tuning the product that you guys see over here. I want to make it entertaining for you guys. I don't know if I mentioned it on this broadcast, but something I'm going to be doing a lot more reaction videos. I think you guys will enjoy those on the channel here. So, for example, the press conference that just took place with Masvidal and Diaz, that whole little brawl that happened, I'll kind of show snippets of that. Well, you have me on the green screen in front of it, and we'll pause it, and we'll talk about what's going on. I'll give you guys some funny commentary. That's something that I'm going to be doing here on the channel often. If any of you guys have recommendations, anything that you guys want to see going on in the channel. And I want to start bringing on other people too. I want to start bringing on more characters and have different people to bounce ideas off of, or to talk fights and disagree with and all that type of stuff. You're going to see that on the channel here as well. So if you're somebody that feels that you would be good on the show, don't hesitate to shoot me a DM on Instagram or Twitter, or to email me. I got my email there scrolling below as well. And if you guys are looking to kind of get your face up here on the tube as well, man, I'm looking for people that know what they're talking about in regards to these fights, and have a little bit of personality, and we could put some entertaining stuff on for everyone watching. So if anyone's interested there, and if anyone has any recommendations for the channel, please don't hesitate to let me know any of your recommendations. Shoot me a message there, man. So what else we got here? We're going to start working our way towards the end of this video, but Robert brings up the Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev fight, which is, that's a fight that I've been very torn on already as I've been previewing it. You guys know I like Chimaev, especially as he burst on the scene. I was very high on him. I do believe that he is shown to have some chinks in his armor, if you will. The way that he looked against Kamaru Usman later in that fight, the way he looked against Gilbert Burns later in that fight. I saw that fight live. I was not that impressed with how he looked. That fight was an absolute war. And you see when he doesn't dominate early on in his fights that they play out closely, and Robert Whittaker is a guy that should be able to weather the storm and make it a fight that plays out very closely. Robert Whittaker, I think that loss that he took to Dricus du Plessis, not only have we realized that du Plessis is a savage, and he's now the middleweight champion of the world. He's very dangerous. I think Dricus du Plessis is going to knock Israel Adesanya out. I think he's going to finish him. So that loss doesn't look as bad, and he may have I don't want to say that. I don't think he underestimated him. I don't think Whittaker is underestimating anybody, but he ran into a tank there. I think that loss motivated him a lot. I thought he looked really good against Paulo Costa. Take that win for what you will, but I think Whittaker has a resurgence in his career. He's 33 years old, and I hear that Robert Whittaker is training with a dude out of Australia that actually has some very high wrestling credentials. Maybe he's making some noise on the Olympic scene, and I know Robert Whittaker's been training with him, actually, I believe. I might be wrong there if anyone can elaborate, though, but I know there's a dude that has some very high wrestling credentials that Whittaker's been training with, and Whittaker's a fighter that not a lot of people realize actually has a wrestling background. Even though he's fighting out of Australia, he's always had good wrestling, and he has to weather the storm from Khamzat early. And then I think that he could, in a 5-round fight, it's going to be tough here, guys, but I am leaning towards Robert Whittaker as I'm recording this. I don't know if that's going to change leading up to the fight. I may settle in with a nice little Robert Whittaker pick here. Maybe a decision pick on Robert Whittaker. Maybe he finds a finish on Khamzat Chimaev. Maybe we see Chimaev take that first ever L in the cage. And let's go take a look at the line for that fight there, which right now, over on BetUS, Robert Whittaker is a 2-1 favorite. He's a plus 200. I think that line's off. 100%. I think that line's off. I think the value is on Whittaker. I say that pretty confidently. Khamzat Chimaev, a fighter that's maybe being a little bit overvalued. I mean, to chalk up minus 240 on him against Whittaker, who's still just 33 years old. He's not past his prime, to say the least. He has a lot more to offer the fight game. Whittaker, in my opinion, he's a better fighter than Gilbert Melendez, Gilbert Burns. And I mean, you could Kamaru Usman, an all-time great, but remember now, Whittaker is the more naturally larger fighter. He's an established middleweight, the former middleweight champion of the world. I mean, these aren't welterweight fighters. Or Whittaker is not a welterweight fighter like we're talking about when we're talking about Gilbert and Usman. That's also a factor in the fight. The size, this difference. I like Whittaker, man. I will be settling in with Whittaker at dog odds there too. I'm liking the value there. So. Let's go see what Whittaker is up to, and maybe we can see that fighter that I was talking about that has the high caliber wrestling that I know he's been training with. It's not going to be him there, I don't think, but Charlie Bubb. But look at Whittaker looking to be in phenomenal shape. Look at those trunks. Got the dope trunks. Please tell me that he's wearing those into the cage, or the UFC is making some type of form of that. That would be sick. Whittaker is a sharp dude, and I have no problem backing Robert Whittaker in a main event 25-minute fight against Khamzat. I have a great deal of respect for Khamzat Chimaev, but I also have a great deal of respect for Robert Whittaker. I think he's more proven up until this point. He's weathered. He's been through battles, and he's the guy that typically comes out on the winning side and those types of fights. So I think he does it. I think he wins at a decision. I think that he digs deep and takes over the fight as it goes. All right, guys. So just to talk a little bit about that. Bobby Knuckles undervalued. Guys, North Star Nugs. And I'm assuming, I don't know. Remember, when I'm saying he's undervalued, I'm talking about the betting line. I don't know if that's what you mean by that, but I know we have respect for his game. People know about his game, but I'm saying he's undervalued when we were talking about a plus 200 line next to his name. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but Usman would have beat Khamzat if it was a 5-round fight. I agree with you there. I absolutely agree with you there, and that's one of the things that pushes me towards picking Whittaker and a 25-minute fight there. So, what fight would you like to see? What fight would you like to see more? Holloway against the Diamond or Ilya? I want to see Holloway versus Ilya Topuria. I do. The way that Holloway is hitting on all cylinders right now, coming off that huge victory, I definitely I want to see him matched up against the undefeated surging champion renowned Ilya Topuria, who's coming off the biggest victory of his career after knocking out Volkanovski. Love that fight. I think that there would be a lot of fun stuff going into the fight, like behind the scenes, all the shit talk and the press conferences and whatnot. Holloway's not a guy that typically talks too much, but he's game. You know, he's willing to give it back a little bit. Topuria is a very confident dude. I think they would clash stylistically with their personalities, and it would be a huge fight. And when you're talking Max Holloway, you're talking about one of the all-time greats. And then when you're talking Ilya Topuria, you're talking about a dude that's on his way to being one of the all-time greats. Has a lot more to do in the game, but undefeated champ right now, just dethrone Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, right there, your name is gonna really start to get a lot of respect. So he has so much going for him right now, and I don't know, man. Topuria is my boy. I've been rolling with Topuria, and it's going to be hard for me to pick anybody over Topuria right now. I think his boxing is some of the best boxing in the game. I think that Topuria has some of the best, if not the best boxing in the game. And you guys know Holloway's boxing is right up there too. So what a fight that would be. And that will be one that we'll be excited for. So, but all right, guys, I'm going to wrap this live video up. I may be going live for the fights. Maybe I'll go live for the main card here tonight. So I'm in the lab. I got potions spilt all over the floor here. We got to clean that up. I'm in the laboratory, and you guys know it's always a good night when we're just doing snow angels on the carpet. If you know what that is, kind of just rolling around the carpet, doing stop, drop, and rolls. You guys know the stop, drop, and rolls. When you're on fire, you stop, drop, and roll. But we're not on fire. We're just doing it for fun because we're excited for the next fight to come out, and we're just rolling around the carpet like a kid at the candy store. Because you guys know when these fights are on, we're always happy, man. You guys know that feeling when you see the fighters coming out, and you're just getting ready to watch another fight. And every damn fight is so exciting, man. It doesn't even matter if we're talking about the first fight of the card today, man. When that fight kicks off and we're watching Pooja Tamar take on Hayan Amanda, that's even a fight that we're excited because the card is officially kicked off. And that fight actually may be fun, maybe sloppy. Pooja is a fun fighter to watch, though, and we'll see what level she's on. But I believe over in Japan, she was fighting over in Asia. She's put on some fun fights, and we're going to be excited, man, as soon as the first fight kicks off. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Like I said, expect these lives all the time. So maybe you want to hit that notification bell or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell so when I'm going live, you guys know. And a lot of content will be coming your guys' way. Don't forget, guys, we are powered by BetUS. Don't forget that. So if you guys want to sign up through the link in the description of this video, as soon as this video is posted, we'll have that in the description. And you guys will get a 125% match on your first 3 deposits. Let me know if you sign up through that. I got a gift for you guys as well. And make sure you open that account up and we start cashing immediately as we attack UFC Louisville. All right, guys. Appreciate all of you. Have a great fight day. And I will catch you guys most likely later on the live stream here. Signing out. Teller.